Hello everyone, so we just had a couple of cards release into Marvel Snap. We had Blink, we had Nocturne, and for me, I got Selene and the other one, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she protects 1 and 6 cost cards. It's the other one that's featured in the spotlights. But we have several new cards, and I did some experimenting with Blink, with Nocturne, and they both feel okay. They feel very playable, but they don't feel broken by any means. Blink is really good in a value style build for like an Electro ramp, potentially into a Hela, something where you're digging into your deck for those higher value cards. But it doesn't feel like I've found the shell that just breaks her wide open. And then Nocturne's the same. Decent in kind of like a low range movement style build, or even a counter movement style build where you're running Arrow and Magneto, but nothing earth shattering. And so then that brings me to today's build. I did use 4 spotlight keys this week. I unlocked every single card that I could, Selene being one of the ones I was actually looking forward to because it enables me to play a Goblin build a little bit better. And I really enjoy like the Goblin, the Syndom Junk style builds. I don't have Cannonball, so I have to find alternate ways to make that archetype work. And for me, that is going to be Galactus. So Galactus is one that I never advocate for that being your primary play line. I like Galactus as a potential temporary backup. Not only does that sometimes steal huge cube games away for you, or if you're in Conquest, it makes the opponent uncertain of what kind of line you're going with, and so then they have to second guess every single drop that they do of, do I defend against Galactus or do I push power into other lanes to find ways to win? And so with this build, we have several of just junk. We have the Goblins, we have Hobgoblin, we have Viper to send some junk and clutter their way. We have Hood, Debris, Black Widow to stop them from drawing and force them to play a card onto their side of the board that is not advantageous for them. Selene kind of helps push all of that together by making your Hobgoblin -11, your Green Goblin -6, or your eventual Hood -6 as well that you ideally want to send onto the opponent's side of the board. With any kind of junk style deck, it is really good right now with Sentry and Annihilus. That is kind of the tie-in that brings it all together, allows you some high power output and some kind of flexible ways to position your cards so that the opponent doesn't know exactly what your last turn play is going to be. And so overall, I have had so much fun with this list, and that's why I'm prioritizing this one over something like Blink or Nocturne, because I feel like if I did a build over those, it would be, one, suboptimal, it wouldn't be perfectly refined, and they felt okay, but not something that I was truly excited about. Selene enabling me to play a potential Galactus deck was something that I was very excited about. And so that's what we're going to be featuring. We're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. Thank you guys as always for being here. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, next up we have Commando Dragon. And we start off with the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. We have the Green Goblin, the Annihilus, and then, we have the Sentry, and then the Galactus. So we can do a 3, 4, 5, 6 without anything else revealing. Gamma Lab is pretty nice. We now also have the Hobgoblin as an alternate playline, and we don't even always have to go Galactus. Like if we just outright win Ashard M with our Sentry, we don't even have to like force the Galactus line. I'm going to go ahead and go Green Goblin, and then we're going to throw Sentry into Ashard M. We have the Annihilus. Now they do have Jeff that they have in Gamma Lab. We have a Shang-Chi somewhere in our deck that could potentially swing that location if we end up fighting and staying. It looks like they are running Brood, so like a Silver Surfer could potentially be there. The Jeff is a little bit iffy. I forgot Green Goblin pulls over into Ashard M. That's unfortunate, but I think it's okay. That's a lot of Hulks, but it's okay if he goes Smash. So we're going to go ahead and go Sentry in the left lane. I don't think we're ever going to grab priority. Nocturne could move over into Vesuvius and kind of hurt us there. They could potentially have a Cosmo as well. I'm going to throw Annihilus into the middle location to try to dodge a potential Cosmo. There's the Cosmo in the right lane. Over in the left lane. So we do dodge the Cosmo, just not where we thought we were going to. They are now capped out in this left lane. we have initiative, so we can win the right lane with something like this. They can't retreat. They're at our mercy. I assume something like a Silver Surfer is going to come down. Maybe, ooh, maybe Shaw plus Surfer. I don't know. We are winning the left. We have Shang-Chi, so we could actually try to swing this one back since we're winning this one by 8. Do we ever do that? That would allow us to do, I guess, Selene somewhere. I don't know. We're going to go ahead and snap on them because they are at our mercy. And then Galactus. I think 1-800 Galactus is going to be the go-to line of the day. They do play heads up. We could have won with just the Shang-Chi. Let's see if it's going to be enough, whatever they ended up dropping over there. They have to beat 8 plus 5, so they have to beat 13. The Gladiator comes down, pulls into our Jeff, but it is going to destroy that card, and then the Silver Surfer comes down, and they lose by 1. I hope my math is correct. They lose by 1 for the 4 cubes. So much closer than it needed to be. They knew exactly what play we were going with. They knew what they had to do to try to stop it, and it just wasn't enough. And I think they would have retreated had it not been for Mount Vesuvius. We'll take the 4 cubes. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Kendrick. The first location is the Crimson Cosmos, which we won't be able to play too many hefty cards. We can throw something like Selene down, but actually that doesn't really help us all too much right now. It would hurt our Shang-Chi. It would hurt some of their cards a touch, but mainly it would just negatively affect us. Now we can do Selene. We have Green Goblin. We have a Nihilus, depending on what kind of a Pixie deck. Pixie decks are very volatile, very hard to pinpoint exactly what's going to come down and where, especially if they have the Mobius that pops up. So I kind of want to go Green Goblin in the right lane. It's not beautiful. We will get Vibranium shuffled into our deck, which is not ideal, obviously. But it gives us a better chance of being able to lock in the Vibranium Mine with Galactus on turn number 6 is what we would be looking at. So Nebula comes down, their Jeff comes down in the left lane. We could do Debris just to try to clog them up a little bit. I don't know that that's what we want to do. The Viper is also going to clog them up a little bit in this middle location. We're going to send them 2. I'm okay sending them 2 if it means that they don't have... Ooh, with the Sentry, we have to look out for trying to maybe hold our Annihilus until like the perfect moment. If they do it on turn number 6, what does that look like? I'm going to go ahead and play Hood into the middle location because we do have the Annihilus to take it away. Or we can do Shang-Chi plus Hood. That potentially caps us out if they do their Annihilus this turn. But I think it's okay. We are looking at... They do have their Annihilus, and so we're not going to be able to do a turn... We get their Nebula, unfortunately. We're not going to be able to do a turn 6 Galactus. But knowing that they've already dropped their Annihilus, we can now return fire and hit them with all kinds of negative nonsense. And so Annihilus plus we could do Vibranium. Depending, they are looking at a Professor X, right? Professor X in this right lane. And then it comes down to us winning this left one. I don't know if we ever do truly win that. I guess with Sentry. So I'm not going to play into the Vibranium Mines. I'm going to see what we draw. Sentry would be perfect in this left lane, because I think we should have this one locked in once the Return Fire Annihilus. The only thing that I can imagine why they would do Annihilus on 5 would be with a Professor X to drop on 6 when they have initiative into the Vibranium Mines. Okay, so they move Jeff over. They play 1 card in the right lane, being the Professor X. And since they move Jeff over, our Hood is actually going to cap out that middle location. And we do have the last turn, courtesy of the Limbo. We get lucky with the Sentry top deck. Since we don't have initiative here, it comes down to can our card over there beat theirs. And I think the Sentry is going to do just that. We have to be able to overcome it. They've already dropped their Sentry. I don't think they have anything larger than that. And it doesn't matter if we it doesn't matter if the sentry pops off in the right lane or not. And so we will go ahead and grab the 1 cube retreat. We knew the Professor X was coming. We hedged our bets, made sure we didn't play into the Vibranium Mines. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have KSJZ. The first location is Clintar, which might be okay to drop several cards in early. I like the idea of doing Hood somewhere else, though. That way we don't have to wait until after turn 4 to potentially send it their way. Now they have Snow Guard, so they can disable a location. They can also re-trigger a location. Anytime you see Snow Guard, you automatically start thinking Loki. I'm going to go ahead and play Demon. Then we can do something like Debris into maybe Sentry on 4. That would give us extra max energy. So maybe we can do something diabolical like Goblin plus Galactus, which would be really funny to see. And maybe we also get Annihilus and we can send them the Hood and clear up some of that space here. The negative zone in the right lane is also interesting because now with Debris plus Annihilus, we can actually clear out the stones in the right lane and potentially surprise them with a cap out scenario. And so they do play into the middle location with Snow Guard. They disable all of the locations currently. We do have the Annihilus now. And so I'm going to go ahead and go Sentry. It's not going to be in effect this turn, but next turn it will. And then we have the Annihilus or Hobgoblin, depending on what it looks like, to start trying to just clog up their board as much as humanly possible. They have Miss Marvel, so they're trying to get additional reach in the left and right lanes. Galactus is a beautiful sight to behold. Let's go ahead and go Annihilus left lane. If they don't play anything here, we're going to cap them out with Hood. We're going to cap them out in the right lane. And then we just have a cheeky little Jeff floating around that can move over into the left lane next turn just to do it. And so unless they have a Professor X, I think we're in a pretty good spot here. Sandman comes down. They are completely capped out in the right location. Sandman being something directly in their deck. So they may be looking to do like a blink situation to switch the Sandman for something else. I think either way, we have a just surefire lock. We're going to go ahead and take the win. I have to remember that with Galactus, you have to snap early, or I guess Clog as well. You have to snap early so that you don't give away your play line, but you also get additional cubes. So we'll take the one. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Backed Pine 5. We have Selene, we have Green Goblin, so a beautiful 1-2 kind of combo deal. I'm going to go ahead and play Selene into the left lane. We'll negatively afflict something in their hand. Negatively afflict ours, but it's a positive affliction. Sinister London is absolutely sinister. I love to see it. We have the Annihilus, we have Viper, we have the double Goblin next turn. I think I'm going to go ahead and snap early. I know I mentioned in the last round that we have to snap early with something like this. We maybe even should have done it on turn number 1, knowing that we had at least a semi-decent kind of cohesive kind of play line. So they do stick it out for the 2 because it's a little bit too early to really abandon ship just yet, right? So we're going to go Hobgoblin, or I guess Green Goblin, double Green Goblin, which are both -6. Beautiful. Thank you, Selene. And then we have Hood plus Viper next turn to add a little bit more Clog in Sinister London. And then we'll see if it ends up clogging something else with the Viper or not. So the Green Goblin goes to the right. They do have old Jeffrey right here. We have Hobgoblin as well. Very scary to do a Hobgoblin whenever the board is going to be as full as it is. But maybe it works out in our favor. We are going to do Hood and Viper. Send them just a little bit more junk. We're trying to clog their board as much as possible, as early as possible. We get a couple of demons out of the deal, at least clear out this middle one, and then if this jumps to the left, perfect. Beautiful. Even though it didn't hit Hood, I'm okay with that because it sends them some junk. It makes their play lines that much more difficult to enable. And it does look like they're running an Electro ramp style deck, which is very, very common right now. We have initiative, so we could do a Hobgoblin in Onslaught Citadel, and I think we'd be okay. Now they could potentially, use maybe Sandman here. That's a tough read to do. And so with this, if they use Sandman, we have to worry. But they are going to cap out this right lane. They've moved this Jeff, and so Odin now, oh man. But the Annihilus is going to come down and just obliterate. Because it sends all of the goblins back, which is horrendous, right? You don't want to see that happening. They also get a demon out of the deal. I like this a lot. We have the double demon, which, wow, that is on fire. My goodness, has it always? It hasn't always done that. We are going to be able to do this number. This is a specific amount of power that they have over here. We're at the very least, going to tie this left lane. And then I think we clear up some of the others. So Demon plus Annihilus, unless they have maybe Professor X, which this should get us at least close to tying. This one would be just a lost cause. I'm going to go ahead and stick it out. Maybe we can get the 4 cubes off of them with the Demon Annihilus, the double Demon, double Annihilus drop. And we'll see. We'll go from there. The Doctor Doom is going to fill up the rest of their space. And so our demons aren't going to go over there, but they are going to get destroyed, which does help us immensely. We win the middle location. We win left lane. And we are able to grab the 4 cubes off of the scary back and forth with the Odin play. That's the only downside to goblins right now, is that Electro ramp is so common. We will take the 4. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. Next up, we have GUII. Is that GUI? Next up, we have them. We get their null, which is null thing to be upset about. We have Selene that we're going to go ahead and play in the left lane. We have Hobgoblin that's going to impact Green Goblin. Potential Galactus into null is pretty decent. This is pretty also a pretty cool null variant. So Sakaar could potentially pull into our Galactus after this turn. It's a 1 out of 5. My luck, it's going to end up pulling into Shang-Chi. It seems like that is always what gets pulled into Sakaar. But we'll see. Hobgoblin. We will take the Hobgoblin. So it's a Nico. The next card that they play is going to get destroyed, so it's a full-on destroy deck. But we're going to make their null pretty undesirable here. I think we go ahead and go Black Widow. That's going to make sure that Nico destroying this next card is not going to draw them any additional cards either. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and snap into it. Just because they're going to be thinking that they're going to thin their deck dramatically, and that's not going to be the case. And so Black Widow is going to help us out a lot here. And then we do have the Galactus. We have Green Goblin we can throw into Sewer System and then just kind of go from there. So they do have Deathlock. Right now their null is just atrociously negative. They don't draw any of those additional cards because of our Widow's Bite. We do counteract that, which is just beautiful. That means this is gone for no reason. We have Hood that we could use. I think I'm going to go ahead and go Green Goblin in the right lane. Right now, a null is awful. And then I'm going to go ahead and go Hood in the left lane. That allows us, if they do something like Killmonger, no Venom, which ends up destroying the Wolverine, depending on where that bounces to, could impact... Okay, so it bounces into mid. They will have initiative going into turn number 5. Turn number 6 is what's going to be important. And so the null comes down here. We can do debris, but I kind of think we just drop something like Demon and then see what they played this turn. Maybe next turn ends up just being a Shang-Chi. We'll see. If they don't play for mid, Demon is going to give us the lead in Sakaar. And we have to worry about Galactus triggering the Wolverine. So Galactus is definitely not like an ideal line here. So since it's not an ideal line, do we ever want to play anywhere else? Not really. And we just go from there. So Death comes down in mid. Eesh. I'm going to go ahead and stick it out, hoping that they do. Wow, that is... beautiful. My goodness. I forgot what we had played. Whew. We will gladly take it. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right. Next up, we have definitely not Ordinary Harry. The first location is Atlantis. We have Viper and Sentry, so we can do Sentry into Viper in the right lane, potentially. It does look like there may be... Maybe we could also do Viper onto one of these squirrels. Go ahead and play Jeff into the Nebula lane to make sure that we stop it from scaling up. The Nebula is really common right now. We're seeing a lot of Electro ramp with Blink. I think Blink is a cool card, but I think it just falls short on some regards. So I'm going to go ahead and go Debris here. We're going to clog up the board as much as possible. Next turn, maybe we end up going with a Viper somewhere. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like. But I think Debris is a good shot for us, a good shout. They skip on turn number 3, so if it's an Electro ramp, it's an unfortunate ramp that they ended up getting. Viper here could tap them out, but I don't know that it's worth it because they do have the Jeff. We could do Sentry, but we don't have the Annihilus. We don't have any of our Goblins either, which is kind of unfortunate. Let's go with... I'm going to go with Viper into Atlantis. I'm going to hold and not do anything. We could actually... We could do Selene. That's going to hurt our Shang-Chi, but I think that's fine. That allows us to, on turn number 5, do a Sentry and not have to worry about the negative downside. Then we can move Jeff out and do something else here later. I kind of like that idea. Let's go ahead and do it. We are going to cap them out in this left lane, it appears, unless they have something like Lady Deathstrike, at which case, no, it's the Jubilee. We, at this point, we should snap. We're not going to. We're going to be nice lads and not snap on not Ordinary Harry. But it's looking like a pretty rough round of events. Victory. We get a little bit too much clog on the board, especially with the backup sport of Central Park, that the Electro ramp isn't able to find its footing. Let's go ahead and take the one. We're going to jump over into one more. We're going to make it good. All right, next up we have Ab, and let's make this about out us. Make it about us. I don't know. It wasn't very good. I'm sorry, guys. I tried. So we have Selene, but we're not going to use it on anything. They are using Hood, so they could be running the Annihilus package, which is always just like a psychological warfare. EVA is going to be unfortunate here. So let's go ahead and play Jeff. They may not be able to send Hood our way. We have to look out. Of course, they have the Demon, but Hood may not be able to come our way. Los Diablo Space may also end up destroying TVA, which could be nice to see. I think we're going to go... Part of me wants to do Viper. And then we have Sentry for the TVA if Mojo World gets destroyed. If not, Mojo World is the one that gets destroyed. So we are going to end after this next turn. So Bucky Barnes here. It's kind of scary. Very scary. This would be 6, 2, 4, 6. I don't even feel good about that one. All right, next up we have Lalo. The Icebox hits our Sentry, so he's no longer going to be a very viable resource unless we want to drop him on 5 into a turn 6 Annihilus plus something. But for right now, our hand is looking really full, and there's nothing we can really use Selene for. It would negatively hurt our Shang-Chi, which probably wouldn't be the worst thing, but it definitely wouldn't be the best either. So we're probably looking at a Mockingbird. Patriot Mockingbird has been all over the place. I don't find it that fun of a build or a deck. I've seen it a lot. I don't find it that fun of a build. I'm going to go ahead and throw Viper just to have it out on the board. And then I assume we see Mockingbird at some point. Daredevil is interesting. Not exactly what I was expecting to see. To be fair, I don't know what I was expecting to see. Let's go Black Widow plus Selene. Maybe our turn 5 is the Sentry. I don't know. We don't have a fantastic play path here. Very clunky, unfortunate play path. With the Sentry, they are probably looking at doing a Professor X. And so we can do this. We could always do like a Shang-Chi fake with the Annihilus next turn. I'm going to go ahead and lock in the Sentry into mid. We don't know where the real Mysterio is. I assume it's probably in the middle location, but it could very well be to the left. I doubt it's over in Crimson Cosmos. Would be as well. So 3 cards down. Mobius. Okay. A Hood. Okay. And then in the right lane, the Widow's Bite. So they drop initiative because of that unfortunate occurrence. So something like Annihilus is not going to be great. We will get -6. I'm going to go for the non-Annihilus line. I assume that they have the Annihilus plus Demon, right? We take out their Sentry, depending on where the real Mysterio is at. That could still hurt us. Mockingbird plus Cannonball. Cannonball shifts our Sentry over to the left. In the right lane is the fake Mysterio. We win that one by 1 because of the Widow's Bite. What a weird the last couple of games. All of the decks and all of the creativity right now is all over the place. A lot of it is featuring around like that Sentry line. There's a lot of different ways to make that work. And so it's really interesting to see those in action. We're going to go ahead and end after that. I feel like my luck is peaked. I don't think we can get any luckier. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. As always, it's been TLSG. Later, guys.